So hi there everyone. I thought I'd do a video show you how to actual model a 3D model from a design or a PDF that you may have of a building. At this stage we've just finished designing this building for a client, and thus I'm going to do a model for them to show them what it looks like. So this is the process. Please follow, and any questions you can leave down on the forum there. First thing is you'll want to open a PDF. Now I use a Mac for this, so there's no difference between the Mac and the Windows platform. The only difference is that the icons are different a little bit, but the basis is the same. So open up your PDF, which you'll normally get something that you try to put it in one page so that you're not having multiple pages, fit it into one PDF, the 2 floors. In this case this building is 2 stories. I don't import it in as a PDF only because excuse me, the PDF puts a lot of strain onto the performance of when you're running SketchUp. So it's best to bring it in as a PNG or a JPEG file. So in this case what I do is I take a snapshot of the actual screen that I get here, and then I save it as a PDF, as a JPEG or a PNG file. In this case I've got it saved here. I'll open up SketchUp. So what I'll do then is import the image inside the SketchUp. So I don't have it into scale at this stage. What I'd want to do is come along now and scale the actual page. I have a reference here of 1219 or 1213, sorry. So I'll use now, I'll put this so that you can capture the whole platform of this. I'll lay everything else nicely. You'll see there's icons that you probably don't have on your computer. These are just plugins. If you look in here, I've got all sorts of plugins for SketchUp which you can download through the website, through SketchUp's website or Google's website. So now I've got the drawing in here. I can now use the tape tool, and I'll come along and I'll click onto one end and to the other and give that reference of 12 meters 13, and this will scale the drawing 12 meters and 13. So I will check that. I'll come along here, and you can see at the bottom right hand corner there 12 meters and 88. Good enough. This is just a model for for illustration purposes, so it's not going to be used for anything else. So I start off with drawing the site always, and you'll see why later. So here we got the site. What you do is click onto this tool here, I'm not sure what it's called, the X-ray tool, so that way you can see through the drawing from behind and start drawing it up. I will start actually on the ground floor first, so I can just easily use the same site and copy and paste it to the next site. And the reason why I do this is so that when I pick up everything from here at a later date and I use it, I've got a reference point that I know that everything will be exactly. You pick it up as I go. Now start off with the draw tool and draw the outline of the building. Get it as close as you can, and generally I would probably save this as a much higher resolution image so I get a better understanding what's going on, but in this case I'm mocking this up quite quickly, and this is where the petition part of the wall is. Come from here, and you'll notice every time I do something there's a little line that will come up. If you notice right there, give me a reference that it's in line with this wall line right here. So I use this throughout my drawing. And now the floor plan that I've designed generally is within the idea of what I'm trying to do the outside, but it can change as I'm modelling. If I need to make some amendments and go back to the floor plan and change it, I'll do that. This is part of coming up with the design. So in this case I'll just finish it all off. I'll come along now and put a partition wall in. So at this stage really what I'm trying to do is draw the slab of the building. So I'm just going to bring this up and bring this a little bit in and give some to the side as well. So you can see there. What I'm showing you here is basically the basis of how you start a model. You're not complicating it so that the computer doesn't understand its algorithms when you start doing complicating things, and then you're going back to change things and that doesn't work for you. So keep it simple. So we have a garage coming along from there to there. In this case I've got some sort of wall coming here. We can visit that at a later date, but you'll initially see I'm starting to draw the site first. And the reason why I draw the side is because like I'm using a piece of paper to draw on, so that when I extrude things, the computer, the SketchUp can recognise it a lot easier than, you know, putting boxes in there every time and then coming along and putting a side around it. It'd be much more complicated. Alright, so we come along, put the back of garage. Now what I'll do is I'll use the offset tool 230 for the walls here, and I'll do the 240 walls on this side and 240 walls on this side. Now I just got to come along and clean up these corners because I don't need that partition wall. Okay, and then I'll just rub that out. Right, so the bones are there. So the first thing you'll do is, what is the height of the slab? 300 millimeters above ground level, 300, and you'll extrude everything at 300. So now when we go back to off X-ray, you get to see the slab itself. Now this is where we start to create. I haven't drawn a balcony yet at the front, the porch, sorry. So I'll come along and I'll draw the porch as I want it, and I can always go back and fix this. It's not about being symmetrical here. And I'll add the slab for that, 150 mil above ground level. And the garage I'll do 100 mil above ground level, extrude that. Right, so here we go now. Ceiling heights, in this case I'm doing 3 meters maximum non-boundary, so 2700 ceilings. Wall on boundary will follow, and we start to get the bases of this model coming up now. That's how simple it is, guys. You don't have to sit there drawing each wall in. This is the the proper way of doing things for SketchUp and for modeling in any type of program, really. It's the best way, most economical way. So I'll lift all these. I know that I haven't exceeded 3 meters on boundary. These are the regulations we have, so we know that at the end of the day, whatever we're building like a real builder. So we want to make sure that the heights here don't exceed 3 meters. So at this stage, you see, I've got 3 meters. So what I'll do is I'll come along here and I'll put myself, drop this down now 300. So what happens, the ceilings in this section of the dwelling are going to be 2400 ceilings. Now that's fine because I've designed, I'll just go to the X-ray, the kitchen and the laundry, and here I've got like a theatre wall that can be 2400. It will look quite attractive from inside. Okay, so this is ceiling height now. I will do the same on this side. and I'll drop this as well down to 2400, and that leaves me enough to put the roof above this, so then you get 3 meters on direct boundary. Okay, so now I'll continue this wall through. There'll have to be a beam there, as you can see. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll get the second level going. So what we generally do here is we'll go to X-ray, and I'll grab a reference now. So I've got the slab here as a reference. Okay, so in this case what I want to do now is pick up this drawing, and when you pick it up, you pick up with this ground level that I've done here, the drawing. So grab it, press the Alt key, or in Windows I think it's the Control, not sure, but you should get this positive come up where the arrow is, and click on both, and then grab the whole site from the corner, or grab it from a reference. I didn't see where I've put it. Now I know that that site is exactly where it should be, and now I'll lift it so that I can start drawing. Okay, so generally what I do is I come along and I'll go back there. Now, if you take it off X-ray, you can get to see the rest of the floor that I have to build in here. So in this case now it's around about here. I'll just go to my drawing. Now there is a few different ways you can do this. You can draw it while it was on there and bring it in, or you can do what I've just done now. So in this case what I'll do now is, I know that this is ceiling height, so my subfloor is going to be 300 millimeters above this. Right, here's my subfloor, right, and so I'm going to outline roughly where this floor finishes. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll extrude this floor 350 mil, 300 mil, whatever I made the subfloor. I'll do the same in here. Okay, and so here you can start to see the subfloor being built up, but the subfloor doesn't come. So if I go back to now here, the subfloor actually comes only to this section here. This is how they were all the trusses. They wouldn't put trusses along here. Here'll be a lot lower, the timbers. So just going to get that as line it up as best I can. All right. And really all this is, and this comes in a little bit just here, so then I can grab this and play with that. This comes a little bit further back. Okay, so now what we're looking at is with the outside skin is the setback, and we can extrude that into, or offset that internally after. Right, so we've got the subfloor bases right there. I'll do the same now on the other side. All I do is I'll press positive again, and I'll just extrude one piece from there. So if I take it there, I should get another piece going right here. Now because it's in X-ray, you might find it that you click onto something else. So take it to where that needs to go. In this case, this subfloor continues on here. Now if you wanted to be exact, you can reference back with measurements and fix this up 100% if you wanted to. At this stage I'm mocking up a model. I don't know if even the client's going to like it yet, so I don't want to sit to spending too much time in detail yet. So I'm just going to finish off these bits here. The wall continues right here, and and there's an offset of this one as well. Okay, so this is a subfloor. Get off now. Sorry, where are we? Alright, and that's how the subfloors should look. Okay, so now I'll bring all these up, and at this point I can now again offset, and the offset is going to be 200mm because we don't have brick. So again, clean up these corners. Okay, and oh, I've got to do this bit here too. So clean, the model's not complicated at this stage. So now what I'll do is I'll continue my ceiling height. So I'll press again the positive, and upstairs is going to be a 2400 and 2400 and 2400. Oops. So now I can do this way and bring it back. That's one way. Or I can just use the positive and bring it this way to finish it. There's a few ways of doing this. Right, so now I'm going to bring this down to there for now. Okay, and take this partition wall up all the way and bring that over there too. Now I can move this drawing out of the way. Now you understand now why it's important to have the side there, because now you start to get a feel of what it really looks like. Move this drawing out of the way, or you can put it onto a layer. So in fact what I'll do is, to show you properly, go up to the top here, sort out layers so that you've got layers going on here. And then what you're going to need to do is you need to bring model info. Sorry, my apology. You need to bring in entry info. So that's up already. I've just got to find it where it is on my screen. So I've got multiple screens going on at the moment. It's right in front of me. Okay, entry info. So I will now, first thing is create a layer, positive, and create a layer of PDF. And then what you do is tap onto the PDF and come into the entry info and click onto PDF. It should be very similar on the Windows, guys. So, and then I'll come along and I'll switch off the PDF. If I ever want to activate it back in, but here's starting to get my bones of my building. Here's where I can start creating. Now, I've got a maximum height that I'm just trying to work with now. So we're at the moment we're 5'5", so I can't exceed more than 8 meters. These are going to be the new regulations here in Victoria, and that's my height. So here's my reference point. Whatever I want to do here, I can now start getting creative. Now this is a bedroom here, and I've got a staircase going here. So in this case, what I might do is I might just go a little bit of detail and start drawing the walls in, and you'll see why in a minute, because in my particular model, this is where the staircase is. So I've got a void here that comes along, and you can see straight down to downstairs this way. But the reason why I'm doing it for is to understand where I can articulate my roofs. And in this case, you know, one of the regulations is that I can't have, well, they don't support buildings that are very sheer to the bottom. So it's about articulating the ground floor to make the second story look less visible or less dominant than the bottom floor. So there's a few things that I can do. I can design. Here's where you have to get creative, I think. And so in my case, what I will do is I'll use these front parapets to hide the facade. So in this case, I might bring this at so the other thing is I've got a 3 meter wall here. Now if I bring that wall any higher, I have a problem where it doesn't comply. So I can only bring this at the maximum, probably another 500, and it's to allow me to put a roof in there. And if I measure this setback that I have here, an approximate setback is about 1 metre. This height can't exceed 3.6, so we're at 3.5 at the moment. Okay. Now this is where I can start articulating the building, and I can start bringing the front up, and that certainly can be much higher. And I'll create a roof, just mocking something up quickly here, guys, like I said. I'm into skillion roofs. I'm just thinking what I should do here now. So you can now, if you wanted to, put this all in a layer and group it so that you can go out playing around with different roof forms. I'll bring this a lot lower, and here I can start extruding the balconies. So I'm thinking here, because this is set in, I might you notice I'm using SketchUp in a way by just with 2 keys. I'm moulding. I'm moulding the form I want instead of sitting there drawing it. So with 2 keys, the positive, the control button, and extruding it, I can do pretty much what I want. You know what I mean? So so certainly we're going to have a post here. We can cantilever things and all that sort of stuff, but we have to keep within the building costs, because then you have the client coming back to you at a later date saying, oh, how the hell are we going to support this, mate? So we're not designing the waterfall home or the falling water. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright project, yeah? Right, so now maybe with this one here I can sort of give some opportunity for, so the north is facing the front. That's the only issue with this sort of home that I have, is that the north in the north sun really has an effect in the way the solar axis is home. So if just an idea, certainly I think this idea works where this is higher than this. And then this window will certainly need to have this room would certainly need to have a window. So go back to the slab. So this is the subfloor. 2100 is the standard. So I'm just going to give myself a reference point to where the window has to sit as head height, and I'm just going to draw where the roof finishes here, and I will go 150mm above that. So, and then what I'll do is I'll taper myself down to see how I view that. So it's maybe a little bit low. I can go another 150mm, and that gives me from ground level 1300 high. So in perspective, I capture the Windows frame. So I'm not convinced yet with the roof. I'll get back to that. So, when designing something like this, it's important to understand that where it is situated in context with the rest of the site. So Cancel generally will encourage a design that sort of fits within the rhythm of the street and the area. In this case, we have a lot of Californian bungalows, hip roof and gable roof. So they're not very supportive of flat roofs. And so if you come up with something like that, it has to be very convincing. So in this neighbourhood, what I'm doing is, if I did a flat roof, Cancel might be a little bit not in favour, because of the articulation looks quite a bit sheer. So in some cases I can get away with it if I don't extrude the upstairs too much so that the bottom floor is dominant. So in this case I might go for a flat sort of roof here, and materials are going to help as well with committing to a design. So what you might do is you might start so here what I want to do is make sure I can get a proper color bond on here. So what I want to do is grab this line and minimum color bond is 7 degrees, so maybe put 9 degrees. So, and why I do this is to see how high my parapet needs to be. It's a little bit like drawing a section, so I'll come up a little bit higher here. So the parapet makes it quite well. And as we come this part of the home, maybe I'll start exposing the roof. So that works. I can leave that there. And I can continue to draw that roof through internally. So it's all about getting the facade right first, and then we can start worrying about in detail what happens behind it. Once the client's convinced that this is what they want, and Cancel sort of supporting what you're doing, here's an opportunity right here. I can come up with something here. See, I've got 3 breaks right here, so that in this case I know that this is going to be 3 meters high, and generally what will happen here, this will come down like so, but we'll get back to that in a second, because I think I've drawn it as a hip roof there. So let's add some more windows at the front. Now here's the front bedroom, again 2100. Maybe here I can go, remember the subfloor here is 150. Okay, so I know that this is where the floor finishes internally, and then 2100 high. Here I can go 2400 high, so I can add 300. This will add a little bit of class, because it's not your standard. So it costs a little bit extra, but it looks quite nice and it fits quite well. In here I might just do 2 windows. Yeah. And I'll do the same with the other side. Maybe on the other side I do 1 window. And look, I haven't put the window now right in the right spot. Maybe it's a bit too high or too low, but it doesn't matter. I know these are, so what I can do is I can push this back as well, and I can line this up by coming back and knowing that these are going to be exactly, I know the width is, but in this case we don't care. So we're just going to take that to here, and here maybe this one here we're going to open it up more as a, start to create these elements within the building. So I might bring in the floor plan again, just have a look at roughly what we're doing here. And that was a bedroom at the front as well. Right, so you've noticed that the window has a little cupboard here. It's a window wardrobe. Sorry, the window here is more on the left. So I've sort of created that. Or I'll turn the PDF off, I'll come back and I'll just draw another window. On this side. So I'm just creating, I'm just experimenting. I'm not concrete on anything yet, so I might just bring this out a little bit like this. It's a little bit of a waste, I reckon, because there is no balcony here. So if I decide to put a balcony, that would be a reason to do it. The builders and the cost of building something like that may not be favourable, so let's get rid of that. Being successful in coming up with this sort of stuff is coming up with a balance of good design and cost effective to build. The area doesn't allow anything more. People don't pay for it, so at the end of the day, these things are here for investment, and if you come up with a good product, that the client's going to come back. So I'm just going to put, I'm going to go back to that angle roof. I think I like those the best, actually. They work quite well. I'm going to clad it all in Colorbond on one top and brick on the bottom, keep it simple. I might just do that, actually, bring it through. And then what I'll do is, you see how before I went a couple of 100 mil higher on this area here? So I can always take this out now. Right, it's just a little bit underdone there. Just give it a little bit more roof. Maybe too much. Alright, well, I'm going to start adding some materials. So I'm coming along, I'm still not playing around with anything at the back yet. Okay, that's not the focus now. If you're modelling and you knew what you're doing, great. But in this case, we're still creating. So here I'm going to grab a material. I'm going to start off with render. I'll go to cladding, bring up your, I've got heaps of materials in here in my palette. Something that you should subscribe to on maybe Facebook and get some nice materials. Heaps available on the internet. So what I'll do is I'll grab the whole model and I'll just render it. Saves me from going to each individual bit and rendering now. So I'll grab the bucket tool. Okay, so everything's rendered now. And now I can go into, well, in this case, actually what I'll do is I'm going to put it all in white. Because I might do some interior shots later on, so I'll keep this model as the bones of it. So, alright, go back out. So let's go back to the renders. Well, first thing I think I'm going to put brick at the bottom. Now I can either go for, and you'll notice I always don't do the window, sorry about that, I pulled this back, but you have to have these flat, and I'll explain to you why in a second. If I'm putting a material here now, let's say, and let's say you've got this extruded like you have now, I have to come along now and do each one of those. You know what I mean? So if I use now, if I paint the whole material, because you have to, and if you don't, this, I'll just go to here, is that when you extrude it back, you get the white. But now like this, if I extrude it back, it's all painted at one color. So it saves me a lot of time. You know what I mean? And then I can come along, it's easier to put the white after. You know what I mean? Alright, so this is a little trick, and start off with one material now. Doesn't matter if it's not the right one, because you can always come back now I can click into here and change, I can click into this and change it everything in one go, whatever color I wanted it to do. But this is starting to work for me, so I'm going to leave this like that. So I'm going to just bring the windows, I'm going to probably do in an aluminium color. So I'm just going to choose something that's, and I'm probably working very fast, just used to it. Okay, I just have my way of working. I mean, you guys might be different, but the basis of building a model is the way I'm showing you now. Okay. So you pull this back, choose the color. So again, I don't care that I don't choose exactly, I just go back, reference it, bucket, and there you go. Alright, now the top I'm going to put probably, what I use is a material, it's in my curtains, it's a generic texture there, it's the curtains. I use it as a color bond. Come back to that. So here what I might do is go back to bricks and oops, and go for a lighter color here. And again, bring this back, and maybe here I'll go for a timber. Again, I've got a lot of materials in my palettes. I generally use this generic one that comes in SketchUp. What's great about this one is that it looks quite real. So I can go in here and darken it, and I get this sort of Jarrah look, which is what I'm after. And I always go into detail. You know that the sheet is not going to come like this. So the whole idea of making a 3D render look really realistic is putting a little bit of detail. I mean, I haven't gone to detail at the back, who cares? It's about this front facade, see what the client thinks. And then, because if I need to change, I haven't wasted my time everywhere else. So in this case, what I'll do is I'm going to use panels. I buy these sheets generally at 2400 by 1200. So I'm going to go on a 1200 sheet. That brings me right here. So I'm going to take one length of sheet, and that's where I can probably finish the window too. Alright. And I'm going to use in one sheet, and I'm going to show the join. And I'll come along and I'll extrude that back so that when it renders later on, I get this nice texture from it. I'll do the same here, and I'll do the same here, because you might want to do that join in an aluminium finish, you know what I mean? Because as a facade, the builder doesn't mind going a little bit extra. So now here I might end up finishing it off about where that room is, because here now I'm going to have another parapet coming through. So what I can do is I can fix this up now, and I can put the ribs in after, you know, no one sees them from internally. Right, so I can bring this back now, and what I'll do is I'll start putting the colour of that material that I've got for the glass. So now here I can do two ways. I can either just put a little box in here, make sure you're in the corners, and I'll continue that cut through. Because if I give myself a view, I want to capture that little perspective. Now I can go along and put that colour if I want to in that, you know, join, which I think looks quite nice. And what I'll do is later is I'll put a reflective on it, so that it looks quite nice like that. Okay. The same goes with this one here. Now I'm going to have you know, flushings and things like that. So come along and grab the offset tool and put a flushing around it. Now in this case we want to make sure this is all clean. Taking it to this wall here. Okay. Past it, sorry. So it's got to be here. So this wall's got to line up there. That's it. Alright, and I'll do this one too, this side as well. So come along and put a little bit of flushing here, flushing there. And then what I'll do is I'll come along and what I said before is I'll get the flushing, you'll see in a second. I just got to find a good grey. And I'll come along and paint this up. You see that? Looks quite... And you have to extrude it. So what you're going to do is either you push this in, okay? Not too much. Now you can go along and do what I said before, but in this case you don't need to. And I'll push this in a little bit as well. Alright, so I'll get the colour of that. Now I had a little window here too, I think I've got to put in. Again, I'm going to use this window as a reference. Toilet's sitting in there somewhere. I'm going to use that. So maybe here, what I might do, guys, is add that timber. Actually, I think it looks more organic. And it works quite well, this palette. So again, I will use that idea where I'll have my join as a reference for where the window starts. And I think that's what's going to articulate the model. If you don't do it, it starts to look very flat, the model, you know. And then I'll put another one here. And I'll put another one here. I always put cappings on. So that's one of the most realistic things you can do as well. Drawing this stuff, you've got to put the capping on, and not only you got to put the capping on, you've got to extrude that as well. You've got to bring that out a little bit, you bring this out a little bit, so you get that. When you render this, the render will show that shadow, otherwise it looks flat. Alright, so now I'll bring this forward and see, bring it back, and there you go. And I'll do this the same colour as the window. Alright, so I think that works quite well. What I'm seeing here, I'll just bring the door down to there. So get these nice elements coming along. Now here, what I might do is I might, for the balcony, is so here what I might do is I might actually put, oops, the dog's in the background. So I'll probably add a few of these. I'll see how that goes. So here now what I'll do is I'll get rid of this one now. Actually I might redo this. So I'll just do that. So again we're creating, coming up with something that we can suit it. So 1, 2, 3. So I can come along and find these. So I can bring this a little bit here that little bit here. Alright, and I'll do the same on the other side. That's going to be painted, painted, painted. So this is going to go more this way. And that will be in timber, I would say. Like 4 posts. Come along, give that a timber finish now. So when I extrude, it extrudes as timber. And all I do now is, because I've got one as a reference, it remembers how high it went. I just double click. Yeah, that looks quite elegant. Like a timber home. Well, these are the materials that we see. There's a bit of this gable, you know, a bit of the flat roof that's sort of trying to transition in to the new neighbourhood now, or the old neighbourhood turning into this new neighbourhood. This I'll do in flashing, and so, and this is an opportunity here to be something as well. Now, you're going to have the neighbours, so let's go for maybe a 1500 fence here. You see now why the landscape is important to have there now, because it's part of creating. Now, do you want the neighbour to be able to look to the next door neighbour? Maybe not. Anyway, that's up to the owner, the builders. So I think this is an opportunity to be a rendered wall. And now I'll start drawing actually the site. This is how it starts to look real. So, because I'm going to give it a render, so I want to draw the scene now. That's straight? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'll come along now, extrude these faces, extrude the block next door to me, the block next door to me as well. I'll come along now and do the back if there's a lane at the back. So always pressing the positive to make different pieces. There's the laneway. Okay, so it gives me now a good sense of where these garages are. I've set it back, you know, a metre to give enough length. Here's the overhang. So I understand this model now, you know. Right, so here will be a fence, and then maybe we'd incorporate the front fence with this. So I like to articulate my fences as well. I think it's important that it fits in. So I just might just extrude this one, extrude that, and here what I might do is I might have a setback with a bit of garden in front of it, and have that a little bit lower. Yeah. See, with one tool, one button, I'm drawing this. I'm not sitting there actually using the line tool to draw all that. Alright, so I shouldn't have taken that line. But guys, you get the idea now from here. I mean, there's my model. Done in half an hour. Doesn't take long at all. Now, do the same on this side. This side can be a little bit different. Well, it doesn't have to be, it can be the same if you want. But I will do this one different. I'll come along shorter here, since it's a shorter home. You know, and all these thicknesses, you can fix them up after. And I think this is great for where the mailboxes are going to be. Now, let's just come back. So now I want to do like a piece there. I can go in and use a line tool, or I can extrude, bang, and just finish it off with a little capping. And I want to grab the render tool now, because I haven't used any render here yet. Let me add this material first. Where should I put that? Nah. So let's go to the render tool, because I'm going to certainly probably most likely render the rear of it. So I'm using a MacBook Pro here, top end in the Mac range, but still for a lot of you guys who've got running PCs with the same specs, that's all you need. SketchUp is an easy program. It's not memory hungry. I'm just articulating this little bit here, because here now I'm going to render this little component, and I'm going to render this component, which means it's seamless. You don't have any joins, so you've got to take that into account. Now certainly this I might timber it, or I might go along and just use another brick if I wanted to introduce, so I might explore that. And I'll try that out, so that comes up like. Not for me. Alright, let's just, we can go back to this. Let's just draw it all in first. I want to render that one. Because you can render that, Steve. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. Well, I'm talking to you guys. So certainly I think this may need to be a brick. I'm just trying to find out the right brick that I normally use. But anyway, I'll continue on. You guys can play around with it now. You certainly know how to build one now. It's quite easy. The windows, I'll show you the windows before I move on to the fence. So with the windows, what I do is I'll use 50mm. Okay, I'll come along, put them all in one go, while I've got the memory behind it. Yeah, let's articulate this one. No, gotta fix that one, huh? Oh, I went the other way. Alright, so 50mm. Right, and then what I'll come along is I'll put the, if this is going to be a one-piece, two-piece window, I'll start putting those in. So this may be, yeah, you know what, this will be a winding, this one, and this might be one of these windows with, it's got a few panels in it. Alright, and that one half, and keep this one full, I think, too. There can be a winding, these things. So I come along now and I'll extrude these, go back, and what I'll do is, if this is going to be the glass, I'll take it back all the way to till I hit the back of that face, and you see it's gone. Alright, so if I click on all those, now they're all going to be different. And in this one here, I'm going to get back to you in a sec. In this one here they are. Alright, and the reason why I want the glass to see behind is because I put lighting in after. So here inside it, so you get this realistic look. So I'll add these in, and I'll come along and fix up this spacing in a second. Okay, I'm just using the tool. If you're lucky it works, if it doesn't, you go back and do each one. Right, so now what I'll do is, to get the reflection right, I'll come along, sit the center. There's two ways you can do this, and the reason why I do this like this is so when I come in here internally, which I'll show in a second, okay, it's a nice finish. Alright, so I'll come along and do this one here. This one here, one window, doesn't have to be all these separate windows, one glass, sorry. So when I add reflections after, it's easier. Sorry, I'm going too fast there. So this is one panel. I'm just going to take this right through to the next window. And I'm going to do the same there as well. What am I missing? The door. So let me add the door in. The reason why I left them painted is so that I can get the colour. I'll come back now to the door frame and put the door frame in. Oh, I haven't put the top on. The 2100 here. Okay. Put the door frame in, 50mm. 50mm. In this case, this has to be now in a door frame. I think I'm going to do it like that, and I'm going to put the 50mm in, and then I'm going to extrude that first. Bring this frame out now. Bring this frame out, and now I'm going to show the door internal. So here I can go now for a different color. In this case, I think in this one, certainly the door needs to be in the timber. Okay, and this one here, I think the door can be in a dark grey, or even this bronze colour. No, just do the grey. Alright, and then I'll use, I mean these are the type of windows I'll do. Okay, and again, it's all about showing the inside after. So the other way of doing it, if you want to do this way, is just add that, and you've got to add the colour to it. Remember, otherwise you're going to pull the other colour back to where you want, and then that's it. You got the glass colour then. So now I'm going to go to transparent, find my glass, and I'll show how I do my glass. So we have to add glass to this one too. See how now it's, I left it unlucky. Well, sometimes it works, but did I hang on, yeah, so it didn't work, bullshit. Alright, so let's do that again. Alright, extrude that back. And now glass it. Alright, so I'm going to do a bit of landscaping here. This is what's going to make it look realistic. So this is the footpath. and then you have the nature strip about here, and then you have the road. The road like just come out all the way to the scene. Just take this all the way here. Anything that's within a view, extrude it out. Oop, not that way. Alright, and now the nature strip comes down a little bit here. So get rid of these lines, easy to place materials on it. I'll put for the scenery now, the nature strip, and go to concrete material now. Oh, I need to put asphalt here. This is the concrete I use. So follow what I'm doing now. Maybe too big this. So just bring this back and redo it. So now what I'm doing is yeah, that's properly down. Is I'm going to do the nature strip. So you know this is what's going to look realistic. So I'll come along and I extrude it again, offset it. I'll come along and get my grass, vegetation, and apply grass on here. And I'll extrude this up high, so it shows shadow line. I'll come along to my concrete surfaces again, put the road in. Okay, so you can see it, start seeing now in within my scene. I'll come along and actually put grass on these sites. I know that I've got neighbours, but so now I start to get a nice angle. I get, you know, I start to finish off now. I put my grass in here, grass in here. It's important you finish these because they look you know, added part of the picture in convincing the client of what he's seeing. So here it says it's joined. I'm just gonna not even draw a line. I'm gonna press the positive, extrude it. Got the line now. Okay, I'll come along, get fence, fencing. Put my fence in here. I haven't finished the front yet, but I think it's painting a picture. I'll just put this one here like that for now. Let's see. Okay, I'll get the tiles for the pavers. I've got a selective palette here that I use for outside pavers. Is this one here. And we don't want to forget the little garden beds I did there. So now I'll come along, just extrude these up a little bit, but there would be as tiles. And the reason why I do that is so I can massage this how I wanted it to. Right, so I'll add that grass here. And now I will get some plants in here for the final render. So now I mean the model's finished now, right, in terms of facade. So if you wanted to take a view, you can. I always add some sort of lighting and trees to give it a realistic look. Firstly, you know, it's just selling the concept now to not only the client but to planning now. So I'm ready to go. I'm just going to add my last little detail, which I can see from up here, is the capping for the top of this. So I'm just going to extrude that out a little bit, close that hole up. Right, it all adds to the realistic look to this at the end. So it's best I paint that first. Give a bit of material and then I extrude, and I'm extruding the same colour. Okay, what am I going to do this in? I think I need to figure that out now, I think. Add a tile, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe we can put the tile there, yes, see? Right, so we can play around with that after anyway. That's what I'm committing to now for now. See how what the client thinks. Now, at this point we finish. So I hope you understood how I do the models and how easy it is. Continue to watch if you want to. I'm just going to change this to this material here. Yeah, continue to watch. I'm going to show you how to plug in now. Do renders. So first things first, I'm going to go and find some realistic model trees that I have. So I open up recent stuff that I normally use before. I wonder which ones were cities. So I'll try. Jesus, I don't know what I've got anymore. Alright, well these are other projects. I'll open this in model. Hopefully I can get it some trees. You can get it from the warehouse, but I have these selected trees that I use, and I continue to use. It's part of my trademark when I do my renders. So I always use these babies right here, and what I'll do is, this is another model I've done, and I'm going to import it into this model here. So, you know, part of convincing planning is seeing good landscape. So cover it with landscape. Nice beautiful tree. Alright, so that doesn't take too much away. Showing them here that we're going to put a nice large tree. Maybe I'll take that a little bit down because it won't be in the scenery there. Alright, so I'll just shove that more in the corner where it may really be. Alright, and I'll come along and I'll use some of these. I'll see them in a second. Alright, so I'll put some of these at the front. Part of looking realistic, you know. And that's about it, guys. Now what I'll do is I'll add lighting. So I'll come along now, and these are plugins that you have to find. Light fixtures. So I've got a palette of lights that I use. So in this case, for the balconies, I'm going to use a downlight in the middle. I lost that then. I just have to bring that back up. I'm just taking it on another screen at the moment. So I'll put another light here. And now if I take this back, I've got in here wall, floor, street, you know. So I'm going to go to wall light now. And just taking it off the screen, I'm going to put a maybe one just behind here. And I'll put another one behind the other one. About the same spot. We'll give a nice light. Now this is why I always love to put lights internally, because it highlights from inside. It gives it a nice reflective from the outside. So I don't use downlights there. I'm just going to use an actual ceiling light. So I'll go to the ceiling light. Now you can make light, guys, without any of this, but yeah, this is the easy way out. And I just use one of these. So I'll bring this into the model itself and I'll put it inside. And I'll do the same on the next room. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm going to close that up because it will show up after on a render. Right, and I'll do that on the. Now you can go along and put all the walls in and make it look more. The more detail you get into now is what looks more realistic. but for the sake of what I'm doing here, it's all about just doing a quick reference. I can come back along and change these views, very easy. Alright, I'm going to give it a render. So I have to go into my plugin, open up my podium. I use only the first podium. I don't like any other ones. Number 2 and all 3, for me, no, they don't work. So I'll come along, I'll capture all the glass. So I'm going to apply now reflectives, materials and so on. I get all the glass, so press the positive, capture 1, 2, all the glass that's there. You can see, you know that you've got all these behind it because of the way I showed you before. So I will give glass about 60% reflective. These surfaces like this, that, anything like timber has a little sheen on it, you know, a little shine. So I won't do the corners, it doesn't have to be. So I've just got a bit of reflection. Certainly these tiles might have some reflection. Add a little bit of reflection here too. And I think that's it. So now I'm ready to go. So now I'm gonna see here, I don't want to see the side of that. I want to take the screen. This is how I choose, and I'll always line up, see the sides there, the building, always line up in parallel with the edge of the screen. And then I lift the building up so that I'm sort of at ground level looking at it. But I don't want to lose the top. So it's all about just balancing it out so you can capture the view with that perspective. Oh, there you go, I've got it here. And you see, I don't want to see the back of the land there, so I'm going to angle that so I get that sort of finish. Now I might actually change this fence to this. There you go. There you go, guys. Yeah, because it's logic that you do it that way, because it's cheaper to build. Alright, let's render. Let's see what it comes up like. I'll choose the sun. Don't be too bright because it doesn't look right. So just right about there. And it's all about getting a nice shadow on the building itself, just to create depth. Okay, let's render. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And I hope you learned something from this. Cheers. Oh, well, let me set this up. Quality, render, viewport, render again. I'll just show you this before we finish. Now this is where the Macs are good for this, because just you get very good reliability and very fast. So far that's what I'm getting. And you can change the dullness and all that, but I think for what we did in half an hour, you can't go wrong. Thank you.